to order at 4:33.
You'll do roll call. Okay, roll call. Linda Wishbach.
Here.
Kelly Cordova.
Here.
Catherine Cox.
Here.
Bruce Katuna.
Here.
Tom Kurtz.
Here.
Kathleen Keenan.
Here.
Bob Lee.
Here.
Bruce Montgomery.
Here.
And council member Susan Hidalgo Farley.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Do we have any public invited to be heard? Has everyone had a chance to look over the minutes from our last meeting? Any revisions, amendments, corrections? Is there a movement to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second?
Second.
Seconds, all in favor? Unanimous. And we're ready for accessions.
All right. We did make a little change before this got printed. So the very last slide, and I'll just cross off because we actually did have to do those. We land on 29 and not even. So first off, so this potential session is from Warda Kelly. She was the sort of guidance counselor that worked with teens in the 1990s that painted the mural that was being here in the auditorium during the Day of the Dead season. And she allowed us to borrow some VHS tapes and also scrapbooks that the students made for her. And allowed me to digitize those. They're very special to her, so we gave the originals back. But I would love to add these to the collection to kind of go with those stuff.
That was one of those, the videos playing out with the...
Yes. The one with the teenage boys and men, their bikes. That's one of them. There's like a council session in which members of the public were talking about sort of problems with youth and how to work with youth. There is also a performance piece that has Longmont's actress, Kristen Shaw, a very young Kristen Shaw in it. And unfortunately, the video that has the most relationship with it, it's about youth. It has kind of sketchy audio, but it's just them presenting on the mural in Mexico. Next, we have a bunch of ephemera that came out of a local woman's house. Her mother recently passed away, and these are things that she found. So various programs and pamphlets Lodge, Kiwanis, First Congregations Church, as well as some photos from the 70s of a piece of the Main Street School. So these were such things she had found and donated to us, and as far as I know, find we do not know these things. Our own Kate Stice, who manages the garden, works at the front desk in usually evenings, if you ever like Thursday concert or something like that. He is a school teacher, and he has been collecting slides and postcards related to Longmont Museum at antique stores to show students. And he had a bunch of slides that they let me know on a walking tour that he had of Main Street in 1979. During what's probably an older county parade for the summer. Here is one of them. We digitized all these. Again, he didn't want the originals back. And so actually, this is the 18 slides of Main Street. Interesting to see Dick's house is like half painted gray, half painted white. I digitized one postcard of the Empson house that we didn't have, and a Sweat Hotel letter that had an engraving of the hotel at the top. It just so happened that the current owner was Rec Hotel is working with some marketing designers that reached out to me, and they wanted to see any kind of material that came from their early days at the Rec Hotel because they're working on creating carbon marketing and stuff, and I was like, oh my god, got something for you. They were so excited that this.
So is that the intersection of Third and Main?
Yeah, that's the intersection of Third Main and Curry Hotel is on the left, and then the Dickens Opera House is on the right.
They have current plans to renovate that hotel now.
Yes, it is currently being renovated.
What are they gonna do?
She wants to do long-term temporary place stays and month-long stays, so not like
Oh, I
a
see.
hotel, but not necessarily rentals either, so kind of more of like an Airbnb, 30 days or less. That's my understanding. She's kind of doing it piecemeal, so
It's
I don't know what her
not being
time
on
is.
that board.
This is the same lady that owns the speedies.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
She owns the entire building.
Yes.
Yeah.
His job is not stay.
I hope so. That's our oldest coffee shop. We also were offered a map of Longmont that we didn't have yet. This is from January 1st, 1982. Showing Longmont, the boundaries at that time, and the proposed neighborhoods. Is this visible? This is visible. Yeah, this one they should give us on right.
You said 1982.
1982.
Oh, I see.
Where we're sitting now is in the border. And this is one that you can cross off because they can find copies of these. So we'll end at 29 sessions for the 2024.
Need a motion?
We do unless people have any questions about what we've done before.
Is the airport not there, or? Is it here?
It would be just off the edge of the map. It existed at that time.
Did I?
They put it on. Oh, yeah, you can just barely see it. It's right on the edge.
Yeah.
This triangle here.
Yeah.
Takes a little bit off.
I can see what they do, probably much smaller. 1982.
Back then, there were no houses around here.
Yeah, I don't want to see this, there's not a move around here. It's like being at the airport.
You got nothing around by accident.
No.
It's
Big.
not. Oh. Can't.
Something I was on. Old town was.
Is there a motion to accept these accessions? Is there a second? All in favor? And we'll move on to the report of the director.
So I'll hit a few highlights under administration. We have submitted for a building permit for museum expansion. We are also waiting to hear back from the city design review committee that we should hear back on the 27th of December with any corrections, revisions that we need to make on that one. The building permit usually takes about 6 weeks, so mid-January. So hopefully, if there aren't any major issues, that will still allow us to go out to bid in late January or early February.
Is it true? I heard they would look at your request as soon as they finish what you've done.
Oh, I hope not.
That's the same question.
Luckily, we have had a building official in most of our meetings, city building officials. So there shouldn't be many surprises to the building department because Ozzy, Taryn, and the building inspection has been there all along and has been great about saying, you might want to do something different here, or sometimes the architects have just reached out directly, being like, we noticed this, what, do we need to address this? And you'll say like, yeah, you're going to need to deal with this issue. So hopefully that will mean that process will be very quick.
What's the approval process?
For the building permit, at least last time around, it was pretty straightforward. We went in for a building permit with the courtyard. Essentially, we submitted, they had a couple of things, we needed to add a few more lights to the courtyard, but otherwise, they said, good to go. The longer process is the design review committee. That we've already submitted once. They came back with some suggestions, not suggestions, they had some requirements, that one of the biggest being that the city requires that building faces that face the public street have to have windows on them. And we have an area that will be kind of workshop and storage where we did not seen any need to have windows because it's kind of a storage area where the new construction is facing toward Whale. So it's like sort of silly, and it's not going to look into anything. It's going to look into a storage room. So our architects did go back and say, museum storage rooms really shouldn't have windows in them. And so we will hear in this next cycle whether they accepted that argument, still didn't require us to have those windows. There's also the biggest issues are often around drainage, storm drainage, civil engineering. Our civil engineer has been working very closely with the city's planner in charge. So there's a lot of complications on this particular site. So hopefully they will not come back with any requirements on that as well. The sort of initial responses were significantly more involved than we hoped. So now that we've addressed those initial responses, hopefully we can the issues.
This board voted on any part of that process?
Because it is through the planning department, it's handled by planning staff. We're not at a level where any other board and this board, sort of share information with you.
That's an outrage.
Under exhibitions, I'll just highlight that our next exhibition coming up is Pablo Picasso Prints. It'll open up January 31st, 2025. If you're attending that opening, or if you know people that are, we're starting to share the word. We're changing how we're doing openings a little bit. So in the past, we would provide pretty generous buffet of appetizers and so forth. And we found that if you didn't get there in the first 15 minutes, you lost out. And we just that's, for the amount of money we are spending on doing this, it doesn't really seem like a good use of resources. So we've shifted, and we now are offering for $8, you can reserve your own charcuterie tray from Cheese Importers. And so you will be guaranteed of getting food no matter what time you arrive. If you don't reserve that, then we will have ones available for purchase as well. Of course, drinks available, but there won't be the buffet this next one. So we're going to try that out and see what the public response is. I'm sure there'll be a few folks that will be a little disappointed that the free food is not there, but there will be food available.
cheese and pork. How many booths will be?
There's around 60.
60.
Plus, then we are borrowing 2 Picasso ceramics as well. Ceramic.
No date spans on.
Pretty much his whole career, from early 1900s up to 1960s.
Great.
So it's really interesting because it's not, I mean, there are some of the sort of classic Picasso, Cubist type things that you think of, but there's also much more, realistic images. There's others that are, abstract in style, that are like Picasso. So it gives you a good sense of his whole, the range of what he this is a company called Landau Traveling Exhibits. A lot of the traveling exhibit companies work with private collectors who have so much art that they can't display it all, and so they will have a traveling exhibit company travel part of their collection for years at a time. That's the case with this.
Is it flowing the entire exhibit budget for the year?
Well,
Make a lot of money on it.
this one is, I believe it's around 50,000. Kind of in the lower end of what we're probably going to be looking at from here on out for traveling exhibits. One of the things we found is after COVID, traveling exhibits got a lot more expensive, especially if you are looking at ones that involve name artists or larger exhibits. So one of the things we're going to be wrestling with once we reopen is, our exhibit budget was built in an era when you could get really good exhibits for $10,000 or $20,000. And now we're looking at $50,000 to $75,000 for exhibits.
And how long is this one?
This will run, so we'll open the 31st of January and we'll close May 4th. Questions on this?
And what's the entry fee?
Be the same, it'll still be the $8 for adults, $5 for students and seniors. We're planning on changing the exhibit fee when we open. We're still working to sort of look at what other museums are going to do, and once we've kind of got something finalized, we'll bring that to you all for discussion. We've been working with some folks within the city to do some business planning and things, so we feel like we've got a good plan before we come to you all with that.
Well, that sounds great. I think it's going to be really popular.
Yeah. We are excited to go out with a big show that hopefully will really bring in.
Yeah. That's great.
You want to talk about collections?
Yeah, the big thing in collections is we submitted a draft to NEH for a planning grant to start planning the new permanent history exhibit. We wouldn't even start action on that until 2026. But this is a $60,000 grant if you get it, that would help pay for consultants, academic consultants, community consultants, evaluators, interpretation consultants to start kind of honing in on what the labels will say, what the fees will be. Big thank you to Eric for writing the majority of the narrative. It's kind of writing a persuasive academic paper. So we'll see. I think they give out about somewhere between 20 and 30% of these grants. So we'll see. I got interviewed on the Side Dish podcast, if anyone listens to that. And then the big thing that's been happening with all the interns are leaving. We're gearing up for new interns next semester. So we have 2 interns who are
Is that paid?
They're unpaid, they come,
They're really volunteers.
come through Bob Allen's class at CU. It's a museum studies class that's offered in the art history department. But students from all different majors will take this class.
So Eric, I have one question, going back to the exhibits. Since the exhibits cost so much more now, are you making more requests in the budget, your budget that they consider requesting for coming through?
We did, a request for the 2025 budget, we requested an increase, it was not funded. It's actually a good time to kind of bring out something that I am really feeling like for the 2026 budget, there's probably going to need to be a higher level of advocacy because money is tight across the city, and we are the only facility that is holding a new facility in 2026, but that does not guarantee funding. So I'm curious if there is information that I can provide that will help you all, because I can submit a request, but I really can't advocate the city council. That's really the role of the advisory board, is to do that advocacy. So if there's information that'd be helpful that I can provide in these reports, or
Well, I think if you provided us a list of priorities that we would like to see us advocate for, then
all right.
I think also, yeah, that idea of what are those things that do cost more now, or that when they turn down the budget, like what is it that you guys are gonna have to scale back on or not do because of that?
Or that we see a lot of turnover in the exhibits positions. We see Canada left, she's going to be in the city, but it's in that position. And I know Jared's frustrated with constantly having really talented people cycling through.
so that needs to be a permanent position. Full-time.
Yeah, that was another request, with a full-time assistant curator that exhibits position.
Okay, but that idea that they goes from part-time to full-time, you can keep somebody in-house staff for, which actually saves money.
Yeah, those guys have so much great experience in power tools, and oftentimes they have like advanced degrees in art history or classics or museums. So yeah, they can do everything.
Moving on, education has pretty much wrapped up the programs. We have a few more break camps for the next couple of weeks. We'll wrap up the year.
I wondered with that, the decision not to have like a Santa event? Is that
Yeah.
financial?
It was a combination of things. So for the last several years, we had had a Santa brunch at the museum, and it had always been kind of conceived of as a fundraiser for the education department, in addition to being a public program. And as costs went up, it was really no longer fulfilling that function. And since it was less mission related than a lot of what the exhibits does, I felt like it was a time to let that particular program go. It was a very beloved program, a lot of interest in the community about it, but it kind of fell into that category of not a mission related program, and at this point not a program that's making money, so it's kind of doesn't fit either of our criteria for programs that we like to use.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's something that the city of Longmont is providing in a similar way already, so I think that also makes sense, because like,
yeah, something. Callahan House had one, Recreation has had samples. So definitely get elsewhere. Also wanted to just note, we did receive a $10,000 donation specifically for the Equitable Access Program. So this is scholarships, free admission for education programs for people that are usually on SNAP or EBT or meet an income threshold. So it's a great additional resource for folks that couldn't afford using programs.
Do you get to keep your gift shop revenue?
We do. Gift shop revenue, all of the expenses from the gift shop come out of the museum trust fund. All of the revenue goes back to the museum trust fund, and the trust fund carries over from year to year. It's about $170,000 now.
Does the revenue from the, I'm sorry, this is a little long, does the revenue from the exhibits, does that go back to the city?
That does.
Well, we have a city council person right here.
Yeah.
That money should be plowed back into the museum, not go into the city coffers.
To the general fund.
Yeah, it should go right back into the museum
Uh-huh.
to support their operations.
Yeah, the revenue that goes back to the general fund right now are exhibits, auditorium ticket sales, rentals, and concessions to all of our alcohol sales. All of those.
So the penalty items.
Yeah, it's over $200,000 a year.
Well, there's your full-time position right there. As well as increasing the exhibit.
And I forget, Eric, I know I asked you this question before, but getting older or something. So, how much do we get? Do we get a $100,000 from the city?
We get about $1.4 million. So yes, we certainly have been very fortunate in our city support. Don't want to negate that the city certainly is providing great support to us. But obviously not being able to keep that revenue does make it challenging to be flexible, and when we have a big exhibit coming in, to be able to say, okay, right, like the Lego exhibit has now brought in more than our target was, but because we're under target in a couple of other areas, we can't really say, okay, we can use that money for exhibits, our rental income.
I was going to advocate for a change of policy with regard to that.
So that certainly would make a.
Is that something you can put on the, or do we have to do? We'll do that on our own,
Because the other thing, I've seen the library, and I'm sorry to jump in, the library advisory board as well, writing resolutions. I know this board has brought forward a resolution in the past.
We have, I think.
It's been a while. But, just, writing a resolution that would advocate for something specific and asking on what to do. I think if we wait until the spring to look at budget, it's too late. But to put that in the ear of our city council, to put it in the ear of Harold, and so we can, when we will have our retreat in February, I think it's February 8th, 9th. But if we could have something, I think if city council hears this beforehand, and then when we're discussing these in our retreat, that's when we really look at what going to be our goals and objectives. What do we need to continue moving forward on? What are some things we're missing? What are some things we need to rethink?
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Well, what would be optimal timing?
So,
For us to submit a resolution.
and I don't want to put it on, if we can have something, if our council is able to hear hear that, and we put in here prior to our retreat in February, that might be helpful, because then it sparks that conversation, rather than it's just me.
Sure.
Because, as we all come together to talk about what's happening in our boards and commissions, well, all the boards have. We're hearing from airport, we're hearing from LPDA, from different departments who are saying, well, we need too. But I think there's power in, I think the library did a really good job of just constantly showing up and constantly reiterating the need to have, that we need to have funding. Even though our ballot measure didn't pass, they showed up a lot at council to encourage people, to encourage council to really look at and rethink how we're funding our supportive services.
Was there a full budget request in that?
No. All of them, you start going into the level 1s and the level 2s, and it's you got really in the weeds with it. But just the basic operations, it seemed like all the departments, well, what I saw, all the departments just had, what do they need to keep operations going? So that's what was covered. I think we put too much hope in that the ballot measures would pass for the library and the rec center especially. And they didn't, so then it was, okay, well, we gotta figure it out, because we still have staff to pay. We still wanna make sure we're paying competitive wages, because otherwise we lose quality people. And so that, kind of navigating those pieces. And just, looking at other ways. I've been talking with Jeff Reisner and John from the library, and looking at different ways that we can start not just prioritizing and budgeting aspect, but also the community engagement piece as well. Like, for people to realize we have assets here with our museum, with our library, all the programming and resources that we're able to acquire from these departments. People don't necessarily see it on the day-to-day, but they're tapping into it. I know for the museum and us as a teacher, the trunks, being able to bring those in. These are resources that the district cannot provide, or they don't provide, because there's different priorities, but we're able to bring those experiences into the classroom, the field trips, that we're able to come out here and have the docents present, and we're able to have kids have these experiences that in other communities where there are no museums, they don't get those. And we have a lot of kids who live in Longmont, lower income, who don't even leave Longmont. So the experiences that we have in this community, they're meaningful and they need to be. So how do we get that public piece of engagement and support, as well as kind of where community can really say, hey, Harold, we need to prioritize this. This is something we value.
So should we submit the resolution to you?
No.
Well, what's the process?
I think you go to Dawn, is that?
What's the process for submitting the resolution?
So, if I recall, and Joanne, can you help me? Do they submit the resolution, if they write it up, do they submit it to you to send to Dawn? Or no, we get it.
Eric gets that on the council agenda, so.
And it's not a request, I don't have to make that request. I think it's just
Correct.
to.
I think a staffer just gets on council's agenda.
Can the museum staff participate in writing the resolution?
I think they can wordsmith and, yeah.
They
I
can.
think, yeah. I know, library, well, I think it was the chair of the
Yeah, I
library.
think the board has to write it, but then we can.
But they can consult and do like a template. I think staff has templates. But the wording would be
That's right.
the board.
Okay. Is that something that would be amenable to you?
Yes, that would be great.
If we work with you and wrote a resolution,
Yeah,
and you would submit it?
it could be approved at, either, probably the next January board meeting.
So we should maybe set up maybe a small team or something to work with the museum staff to try something.
Good.
We have people that would want to be on this team.
So should there be a resolution action at this board meeting to?
Yeah, do we want to, does someone move
Move
to
forward.
make a subcommittee to write a resolution?
I move that we form a subcommittee to draft a resolution.
I second.
Second, all in favor?
And the resolution have, what the need is, not just say to support the museum, but be very specific in also to what is the ask, what do you want the city to do to support the museum? To have those funds that, rather than going to the general fund, having it go
So
back to the
Susie,
library.
are there,
Yeah.
on, like, say, the city website, are we able to find previous resolutions submitted by other advisory
Can
boards?
you find us a template?
Sure.
Is that possible?
If that one exists,
Okay.
we'll get that out to you.
Yeah, I think, because it's all public record, so we would be able to probably during the course of the meeting, look up the one from the library.
Yeah, I think knowledge that you develop, but, talked about in the past year or two for something, but I can't remember what it was.
I think we did a land acknowledgement. I think that came through as an official resolution.
Okay.
That one, we had city council do a resolution for the Colorado 150, America 250. And then I think there was one supporting the bond issues. I think that was the
Yeah.
last one that this
Yeah.
board actually
And
passed.
now just waiting for Rayla. That's one of the last things she did this year.
So we have a bookkeeping question, maybe, but does the city pay for these exhibits?
It's a combination. So our exhibit budget is partly funded from the city general fund and partly funded from our 582, which is grants and earned income. For 2025, I've also allocated some funds from the museum trust fund to help pay for exhibits. So it's become a smaller percentage, definitely in recent years, for exhibits. It's become more expensive and city funds have not gone up. But probably exhibit staff is the most critical need. That's kind of the biggest challenge, since we are almost doubling our exhibit gallery with expansion. So more staff to build and maintain those things. Great. So there's other questions, I'll resume the director's report. So our public places, they are working on various maintenance projects and getting ready for some new calls for entry for next year. There'll be a project involving the new Hotel Longmont, the parking garage at that hotel, a mural on it. And they're also starting to work on plans for artwork that will be on museum expansion as well. So, exciting to see those. Under auditorium programming, 1,500 folks came through in November, almost 11,000 over the course of 2024. So our plan is destination. And then under development, so a question earlier about Giving Tuesday and Colorado Gives Day. So we basically rolled a whole year-end campaign that started November 1st. Friends of the museum are matching all donations up to $30,000. So we've received almost $16,000 to this point. That match will continue through the end of the year. So still an opportunity to give for that, and all of those funds go toward museum expansion. We'll do one year-end push. About 30% of all donations to charities come in the last 3 days of the year, so we'll do a last push right at the end of the year, so we can max out that. And we continue to see under visitor services, the Lego exhibit has just continued to be hugely popular for us. You can see November of 2023, we had 1,300 folks through. November of 24, almost 3,300. So more than twice attendance. And that we see carrying across the museum. More gift shop sales.
Is your book still for sale?
It is, yeah.
Good.
Lots of copies.
So, yes.
It's a great Christmas.
It is. And I'm happy to autograph it as well.
Well, that would devalue
And then last, just mentioning marketing. Keep your eye on for our new program catalog newsletter. That'll arrive in early January with our winter, spring programs. Some exciting things coming.
Is there a chance for you to make posters of this fantastic sort of photographs we have for time? So
We've tried some sales of prints, and I think we just haven't quite hit on the right one or the right price point. They tend to be a little expensive for a lot of folks. But there is one very popular image in your Main Street one that I think could be a poster.
those beautiful photographs, old walk.
So, yeah, I know we've still got some left from the last time around, but something to look at for Elizabeth Myers, who is our visitor services manager and manages the gift shop, is going to be doing kind of a reevaluation of the gift shop. So
Maybe a snowy photograph for Christmas. This snow, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Star, something like that. Probably be very fun.
Yeah, we always bring in themed items related to our current exhibit. I know we're planning to do some Picasso themed merchandise for that.
Sorry.
But yeah, that is a great point. If we look at kind of a lower price point on historic photos and poster quality, some sales.
Fantastic.
Would you guys think about doing for calendar with photos? I do my own calendars with my family, and they're not that expensive to do, depending on what kind of stock you use. It would be nice to have that with historic, and some gift shop. Yeah, I can think of that.
Yeah. Look into what you can do. Yeah, because there are great photos.
You can do this. You can do this every year. The Christmas time.
Well, some of the holiday cards too, I was just downtown earlier this week, browsing through shops, and people are starting to carry Longmont specific holiday cards, like Happy Holidays from Longmont, Colorado. It was the first time I'd seen them, and I was like, these are actually very cool. And so with some of the historic pictures of Longmont on holiday cards, I mean, it's like 10 cards for $25. So okay.
You got a treasure trove in our, which is, I think it's, at the right,
Yeah.
price point. Yeah. Just go to one of the shops and see what they're selling their cards for.
And then be like, really?
And then undercut it by 5 to 10 cents.
Good suggestion.
I don't have a report today, but we do have some unfinished business with the Friends and Board joint meeting.
So I sent out a doodle poll. It's looking like February 27th is the winner. At this point, I think everyone has been able, this respondent is able to make that date. So,
For what day again, or what time it starts?
5:30. 5:30 to 7. We are still finalizing the agenda on that, but if there are things in particular that you all would like to talk about at that meeting, obviously we'll be talking about the expansion and the roles of both boards and some things like that, strategic plan and code of ethics. If there are other elements that you want to include, then on the agenda.
This is February 20th.
Is this the first, since I've been on the board, have we ever had a joint meeting before?
It's been a while. We used to have them, and I can't remember why they kind of dropped off the radar. So it was actually a Friends board member that said, well, we should meet the two boards together and start things rolling. Those joint meetings back together.
So I don't have any new business listed.
No?
And then are there any additional board comments?
I emailed you and Joanne and Eric the resolution from the library.
Well, great.
I know you have access to the ones that the museum did, but just to kind of
That's really good.
get some ideas.
Yeah, thank you.
And Callie, I'll be glad to work with the committee.
That's good. I like it when the community gets some. We gotta let fire in.
I don't know. Just wait till we show up.
Yeah.
You said you all put the budget together every year, but you, as a city employee, I guess, are not allowed to advocate for the budget. So, I mean, are you questioned about anything, like, what is this, or what is that, or?
So I'm allowed to advocate to city staff. So there is a meeting with the city manager and the budget office and all kinds of folks, and I'm certainly talking about, here's all of our needs. I can't advocate to city council.
Yeah.
All right. For clarifying.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, yeah. I work for a health system where you
Public safety.
advocate the state of Georgia. So we got other people to do that for us.
Yeah, okay.
Like other hospitals that didn't want us to shut down or something.
Yeah.
We took a lot of indigent patients.
There aren't any other comments, if anyone wants to move to adjourn. Brent, is there a second? Bruce, all in favor? Okay, I will call the meeting at 5:23. Thank you.